Jimmy Kimmel is triggered and he has threatened a lawsuit against Aaron Rodgers, all-star quarterback for the Green Bay Packers and now the New York Jets, which, as you know, Achilles injury, so on and so forth. But he should be playing again next season, I would assume. Anyway, I digress. Now he's threatening a lawsuit because Aaron Rodgers made a joke about Jimmy Kimmel being on the Epstein list. That said, if you don't know who Aaron Rodgers is and like his history of, making the wokes mad, he does have a history of that because he has spoken out against like the vaccine's effectiveness, all that kind of stuff. He's called an anti-vaxxer by a lot of woke people. So as y'all know, I'm not vaxxed. I don't ever want that vax. And I completely agree with him on that subject anyway. So I already know a lot of you guys who watch my videos usually like the nerd stuff, and I do too, but I also really like sports. So I was like, let me talk about this today. Anyway, Aaron Rodgers, who also, mind you, challenged Travis Kelce. This is the poster boy for the Pfizer. the T-Swift, the Taylor Swift putting him on the map. Lol. Okay, obviously he put himself on the map, but just saying. Anyway, that guy, poster boy for the vax. Aaron Rodgers challenged Travis Kelce to a COVID vaccine debate, which I didn't even know about this, so I don't. Should I read this first before I talk about the Jimmy Kimmel stuff? I will, for context, for those who aren't into sports and stuff. All right, Aaron Rodgers. Okay, so Sideline New York. So this happened in October, all right? So it's been a little time. He challenged Kansas City Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce on Tuesday to a debate on the effectiveness of the COVID vaccines, okay? Let me just paraphrase this before I dive into the actual topic here. So he mocked Kelce, calling him Mr. Pfizer before fans fired back at him, pointing out that he is Mr. Johnson & Johnson playing for the Jets, owned by Johnson & Johnson Pharmaceutical, Woody Johnson. Okay, I will admit that is a pretty good clapback. Not gonna lie, I'm on Aaron Rodgers' side, but that is funny. Okay, who knew I'd get into the vax wars with Aaron Rodgers, man? Kelce joked with reporters last week. Mr. Pfizer versus the Johnson & Johnson family over there. Rodgers didn't mention Kelce's name in his weekly check-in on the Pat McAfee show on Tuesday, but he clearly had him in mind when he referred to the ongoing debate. I made a tiny little joke about a guy shilling for a potentially corrupt company, and everybody kind of loses their minds, Rodgers said. Mr. Pfizer said he didn't think he would be in vax war with me. This ain't a war, homie. This is just conversation, the amused Rodgers continued. But if you want to have some sort of dual debate, have me on the podcast. Come on the show. Let us have a conversation. Rodgers' bit included talk of proxy fighters in a comparison to the movie John Wick Chapter 4. I'm going to take my man RFK Jr. independent, and he can have, Tony Fauci or some other pharmacrat, and we can have a conversation about this, Rodgers said, mentioning independent presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I don't really, I'm not the biggest RFK Jr. fan for different reasons and stuff, mostly like 2A stuff in his history with that. But okay, I digress. This should give you some sort of context about who Aaron Rodgers is for the nerds who don't like football. Right? So it looks like this debate never happened. I would have liked to have seen it. It would have been very entertaining. So now, in recent news, Jimmy Kimmel threatens lawsuit over Aaron Rodgers' Epstein list comment. Okay, so the ongoing feud between former Cal star Aaron Rodgers and late night TV. Why? He's a current Jet, New York Jet. Why is this mentioning like, oh, the former football star? The dude is still a star, and the dude still has time left to continue his legacy. So I find that interesting how they worded that. All right. So, and late night TV talk show host Jimmy Kimmel was cranked up a notch on Tuesday when Kimmel suggested that he might take Rodgers to court for comments Rodgers made on the Pat McAfee show on Tuesday. Rodgers, now the New York Jets quarterback, joked on the Pat McAfee show, that Kimmel's name might turn up when the Epstein list of associates was revealed. If you need an update on this Jeffrey Epstein situation, blah, blah, blah. Okay. First of all, speaking of that list, we ain't getting a list, guys. We're not. And if we do get a list, it's going to be one that doesn't actually have all the names on it. Ain't no way. Some of these super high profile people, you know, Clintons, anybody else that may be on there that has a similar level of power, they ain't gonna be on that list. That list that comes out is not gonna have their names on it because, like, the judge, or if the judge doesn't turn up unalived beforehand anyway, that's always a possibility when you mess with these kind of topics. So, assuming that doesn't happen, I'm not expecting an actual list. I'm just not. These powers that be that are on the list, the very powerful people on the list who can pull a lot of strings, corrupt people, they are not going to let that get released. There's no way. I mean, there's already a history of unalivings surrounding anybody who makes any sort of accusations against the Clintons, for example. So I just don't see this happening. But regardless, this was a funny joke. All right, let's continue. All right, so everybody knows about this stuff. I ain't even going to go over that. When that issue was brought up to Rodgers on the Pat McAfee show, Rodgers said, "There's a lot of people, including Jimmy Kimmel, that are hoping it doesn't come out," which is pretty funny. Rodgers later added, "If that list comes out, I'll definitely be popping some sort of bottle." Kimmel responded with an angry statement on his Twitter account. "Dear a-hole, for the record, I've not met, flown with, visited, or had any contact whatsoever with Epstein, nor will you find my name on any, quote, list, other than the clearly phony nonsense that soft-brain wackos like yourself can't seem to distinguish from reality. Your reckless words put my family in danger. Keep it up, and we will debate the facts further in court." At Aaron Rodgers 12. Okay, so the spelling of a-hole, okay. Oh yeah, because Aaron, double A, okay. But the last line is more interesting. Keep it up and we'll have to debate the facts further in court. We're all looking forward to see if Rodgers is mentioned in a Kimmel monologue in the next couple of days, blah, 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 that sort of thing. Rodgers, yes, we all know. Rodgers was not able to play after he got injured, right away, pretty much immediately. All right, so yeah, now he jokes about Aaron Rodgers' anti-vax tinfoil theories. Okay, what's going on here? That's what I want to know, because all I knew about was this thread. I didn't know about him further making any jokes. Is this new? I believe this was released today. Yes, today. So let's see what it is. Okay, so we got the context out of the way. So he hit back. He said that he defended himself. Rodgers is yet to respond. Okay. And then on his show, McAfee said he doubted that the 4-time MVP was being serious when he appeared to insinuate that Kimmel had ties to Epstein. He said he thought Rodgers' comment was just a joke, but can see why Kimmel was angry about it. McAfee said he hoped the two celebrities could make amends and settle their feud. "We apologize for being a part of it," McAfee said, aka we're scared. Not that, I mean, I don't know McAfee's stance on this. He may not have had a similar stance on these kind of topics, but he had him on his show, so I don't know. I can't wait to hear what Aaron has to say about it. Hopefully those two will just be able to settle this, not court-wise, but be able to chit-chat and move along. Meanwhile, Kimmel's X post received more than 180,000 likes by mid-Wednesday and was inundated with more than 48,000 comments. Many comments were supportive, okay? We got that. Others came to Rodgers' defense. All right. So indeed, the so-called feud between Kimmel and Rodgers goes back to November 2021. The New York Post reported that's when Kimmel cracked a series of jokes after the former Green Bay Packers star tested positive for the coof. And it was learned that he had not gotten the vaccine. All right, so let's see what his jokes were. He said, we should have known because nothing says I heal myself with crystals like this haircut. Kimmel joked. I mean, a little not on top, Kimmel said on Jimmy Kimmel Live. Aaron is a Karen. That's the fact of the matter, Kimmel continued. Kimmel also zeroed in on Rodgers for saying he was immunized. The only thing worse than not getting vaccinated when you're in close proximity with other people is letting them think you're vaccinated when you're not, Kimmel said at the time. It's basically the Koof equivalent of the condom fell off. All right. So several days later, Kimmel ripped into Rodgers for an appearance on the Pat McAfee show when Rodgers launched into an angry screed against the woke crowd, quote unquote, to justify why he had not gotten the vaccine. During that appearance, Rodgers was accused of spreading common anti-vaccine, blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's see what he said here. This was a dumb conversation, Kimmel said of Rodgers' conversation with McAfee and co-host AJ Hawk, the Post reported. But you'll never guess who this whack packer has been getting his medical advice from. Okay? Well, here's the thing to me, dude, is it's like, so, and this is so common that you see a lot with these libtards, woke crowd, whatever you want to call them, right? Is they have no problems going after people, but then they want to play victim or they want to get all upset when you fire back. So Jimmy Kimmel can make all these jokes about Aaron Rodgers. Jimmy Kimmel can call him crazy. Jimmy Kimmel can go after him, which I will say I do agree with Kimmel that Aaron Rodgers shouldn't have even said he was immunized. He should have just straight up been like, nope, not vaxxed. And like, you know, I understand at the time though, it was very controversial to just outright say it. And plus with the NFL, all that kind of stuff, I'm sure there's some PR there that's like, guys, if you're not vaxxed, don't say you're not vaxxed type thing. So perhaps that is a case that could have been happening. But still, I think that we have to be bold. We can't be dancing around this kind of stuff, or we can't make change, right? Whenever this all was happening and the vax first came out and they were talking about potential mandates and all that stuff, and I mean, some jobs did mandate it. Like, let's be real. That's why I don't want to hear it from the 800 boosters people about nobody was forced to get it. They kind of were. A lot of people very much were pressured to or risked the loss of their livelihood, right? And that's a problem, and that is unethical. Now, when this was all going down, I did speak out against the mandates. I did say, hey, guys, I'm not vaxxed and I'm not getting vaxxed. And if you don't want to get vaxxed, you don't have to. And I lost almost all my colleagues. I mean, as many of you know this story, I've talked about it many times, right? And I have not gotten a job in the gaming industry since. Now, used to, I would do a lot of video game hosting. I did on-camera hosting for GameStop TV and a ton of other companies over a decade, right? And a lot of people will love to be like, oh, you're just grifting. You're just a right-wing grifter, this and that and the other. Bro, I have not gotten another gaming industry gig since then. And the thing is, though, is I knew that I probably wouldn't, but I didn't care. At that time, I was fully prepared to exit the industry in general, of content creation, all of that. I was like, hey, I didn't realize there was this fellowship and community of really awesome based people, right? I didn't know that. I was in this bubble of only woke people. I was in this bubble of that was it. Like I said, I lost like over 90 to 95% of my colleagues just off those round of tweets alone. And my colleagues being other people in the gaming industry, other streamers, content creators, that sort of thing. I felt like I was on an island being in that space as somebody who wasn't, completely libtard. And I was like, well, I'm going to have to get my nutrition license because I've been studying nutrition for years anyway. And I was like, let me do that. And I guess I'll just get a job as a personal trainer and nutritionist, right? That's what I thought I was going to have to do. But sure enough, like my own content creation and stuff has been doing well enough that I don't have to do that. But did I lose sponsors? Do I not have sponsors? Do I not have, gaming industry hosting gigs anymore? No, I don't. And so now I'm fully, viewer supported, and the ads that I get paid for through monetization, that sort of thing. So yeah, I don't want to hear it with people saying, oh, it's the grift, the grift, the grift. Like, dude, I was essentially fired. I was essentially blacklisted, right? And I knew it was going to happen, but it's worth it. And I think that it takes being bold like that, and it takes taking those risks, or we're going to be subjugated to all of this stuff. Okay, so that's why I don't like the dancing around topics, but still, I mean, Aaron Rodgers has said a whole lot of based things, so I definitely appreciate his contributions against all of this woke mob mentality, especially since it has also been flooding the NFL as of late, as of the last, few years. It's like, okay, the NFL has to have these things on the goalpost that say end racism. Oh, good job. Now racism doesn't exist. Good job. Stuff like that. That's just really retarded. But anyway, there you have it for today's video. I know a lot of you aren't football fans, but still, surely you can appreciate the topic. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me today. And if you want me to read the Bible to you, you could check out my Bible channel, Bible Time with Melanie Mack. I have a link in the end card here, or you can just type Bible Time with Melanie Mack. Thank you all again for watching. I'll catch you next time. And in the meantime, go boom. Miles Morales is Miles Morales.